Garbage Theater. I'm your host, Chase, with my co-hosts, Blake and John.
Hey, call me the Shimmer Man.
Tonight's installment, the Gristle Man. The Glimmerman.
Yes. And the Desert Heat Award goes to...
No, it does not.
Fuck that.
We will not tarnish the Desert Heat Award by giving it to this poor man's Rush Hour. No, thank you.
Wait.
I would like to say that Rush Hour is the expensive man's Glimmerman.
Oh my God. This fucking movie. Okay, now, like you said, this was him at his peak of his
enlightenment
phase.
It was, he had just come back from being enlightened.
That's super obvious too.
Oh,
everything about this is pure vanity. Yeah.
This whole movie is a vanity piece.
It's entirely vanity.
When your main character has no flaws, is invincible, and is always right, that's a boring fucking movie.
No, that's just Seagal describing himself.
Yeah, no, this is obviously exactly how he thinks of himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Keenan Ivory Wayans is a bumbling idiot, and Steven Seagal is a perfect human being.
Yeah, and Seagal spends the entire movie trying to emasculate Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Which all that was added in after, which we'll get into that. All the little plucky comic relief between them two was after they had finished the film, and they were like, okay, we need to try another direction here.
We need to sand down the edges on this asshole, because no one's going to want to watch this movie.
Yeah, I got a lot of production notes about this, and they're hilarious.
Well, let's go ahead and start then. So we open up, and it's some bullshit David Fincher nonsense with shots of crime scenes, close-up flashes of bodies and whatnot, and the camera zooms in down onto a city street, and a shadowy figure is walking down holding a duffel bag, and I don't understand the effects that they chose to use for the opening credits.
Oh, they're awful.
It's just color burn over everything.
I'm glad you mentioned David Fincher, actually, because there was a point at the movie where I was like, when did this come out in relation to Seven? And it turns
Seven
out
was late 90s, wasn't it?
No, it turns out that this came out almost exactly 1 year after Seven was released.
Oh, well, production started around the time somebody saw Seven.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, terrible effects. The shadowy man walks into a sliding glass door, and we see a woman sleeping in her bed. She sits up suddenly, and he draws his laser-sighted silenced gun and blasts her in the forehead. So, we got a movie now, I guess.
Yeah. And who leaves the laser on the entire time you're walking around?
The Terminator.
Well, yeah. It's not how it's supposed to work. Kind of gives away your position.
I bought this goddamn laser. I'm going to use it. It looks cool. We cut to the police department, where we get the usual movie police department thing. Cops cracking wise, various thugs being hauled around in cuffs, the standard stuff.
Yeah, that's basically everything in this movie is just cliche bullshit.
It's just right down the middle.
Yeah.
Keenan Ivory Wayans, a.k.a. Detective Campbell, comes out talking with one of his colleagues about a report, and tells him to, why don't you drop those donuts and just go straight to crack, because those things are the same. He walks into his office, where we find Mr. Seagal waiting for him. This movie wastes no time in just getting right to it.
Yeah.
Here's the characters. We're going. We don't need any background on them. We don't even need their fucking names. Let's just go.
That's something Tara and Beverly Hills could have done too, but they decided not to.
Well, I don't know. I think I had an idea of what Seagal's character was going to be, based on the trailer and stuff, and he just never really was that character. But this is such a weird way to introduce him.
Yeah. He's just in the office, sitting there, staring.
This is supposed to be the Glimmerman. Like,
so far, he's not glimmering at all.
Yeah, do something cool at first to, like, set him up. Whatever.
So, Campbell gives the big idiot a good ribbing for his dumbass beads, and Seagal tells him that he's been assigned to this case now. And he's a big shot New York detective who just likes to solve the case. No credit needed. Well, good for you.
We don't even know what the fuck case they're talking about. He's just like, hey, put me on the case. I'm like, what case? We're like 2 seconds into this movie.
Who are you?
What's happening?
So Campbell explains that the man that they're after is called the Family Guy, or man. He's killed 6 families in 8 months, or 8 families in 6 months. Who can say? I didn't want to give this movie the satisfaction of having me rewind it.
Oh, come on.
So, the families are all Catholic, and they were all found crucified. Another cop comes in and tells them that they found another pair of bodies, and the 2 head out, new partners. At the scene of the crime, a big orange clown in a stupid clown shirt's bumbling around the scene. Oh wait, that's Seagal. Silly me.
I was gonna say,
did he change his shirt to go to the crime scene? He was in all black in his office. And now he's wearing this golden filigreed nonsense.
That's his coat, baby.
This is my crime-solving coat.
This is detecting coat.
2 new killings, huh? Let me grab my ridiculous coat.
Batman has a cape. I have this ridiculous thing.
He's apparently got a whole closet of these, because, like, there's another one later on. He's got a different coat that's equally terrible.
I've got a trunk full of frog button shirts. Oh, Christ. So, Seagal tells Campbell that this one's different than all the other killings and gives no other reasoning for that.
No.
Other than his jackass shirt.
This one's different.
This one's different. I haven't seen any of the other ones because I just showed up, but this one's different.
He was looking at the file, Chase, when Campbell walked in. It's different.
That was the takeout menu.
He insists on ordering in Chinese like a fucking asshole.
We already had lunch. This is for lunch 2 days from now. I like to plan ahead.
This is for second lunch. So later in the car, I'm still calling him the Glimmerman in my notes because I still don't know what his name is.
Yeah,
Did they even say his name at this point?
I don't think they say it yet.
Yeah, so we're just supposed to just go with it.
I guess you're just made to believe that you can just walk into the LAPD and say, I'd like to be on the case. Well, okay.
Somebody get this man a case.
This guy on the case. I mean, look at him.
Get this guy a fucked up coat. He's ready to solve a case.
So later, they're in the car. The Glimmerman's trying to get to know Campbell, but Campbell's not having it. He tells him that he isn't married because fuck all that noise.
Amen to that.
They get a call on the radio of a suspect that's barricaded into St. Edmund's School with hostages and a possible suicide. And old Gristle grabs the radio and answers the call, forgetting that you never touch a black man's radio, boy.
Right?
We're following all the beats already. So Campbell tells him that we're homicide detectives and I could care less about suicides. And then old Gristle goes rambling on about the respect for death and the dying and the could be dying and blah, 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 blah.
Gotta have compassion for the dead, the dying, the almost dead, the undead, the re-dead, the dead impaired.
So, after that, that's enough to change Campbell's whole outlook on police specializations. And he says, yeah, let's go then.
You're right.
They head out to the scene. So once there, the monks are helping the children run to safety, and one of them informs Seagal that the assailant's a kid, a senior with a gun. And I want to point out that this monk is the exterminator that George befriends to prove to his boss that he has black friends in Seinfeld.
I didn't notice that.
He stood out to me. So he reveals that the kid's girlfriend just broke up with him, and that's what set him spiraling off the edge. Gristleman tells Campbell to get him some cell phones quick, because he's got an elaborate, convoluted plan that will not pan out. Yeah. So in the classroom, our student Johnny is waving a gun around and threatening all the students and the teacher. We finally get the name Detective Cole of Seagal. He comes on the intercom over the PA and says, "This is Detective Cole. I just want to talk, Johnny." And old Coleslaw is out in the classroom hallway, and he's talking into he's talking to a cell phone that Campbell is on the other end on another cell phone, holding it up to the intercom in the principal's office.
Yeah, and they set this up extremely fast and with zero communication about it.
Yeah, give me some cell phones. That was it.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make him think that he's somewhere else and not right outside the door. So Coleslaw tells Johnny that he just wants to help him before the men in black get here, because the men in black, they don't care about helping anybody, Johnny.
Nope, they just about them aliens.
So he instructs him to go to the window and look out to see that he's standing outside of the school unarmed, right as he draws a pistol and bursts into the classroom. What was all the convoluted subterfuge for?
No, you could have done that just on your own.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. It's Seagal we're talking about. It's not subterfuge. It's subterfuge.
Oh, my God. Look, man.
You got to get him out, John. We're doing a Seagal movie. You got to get all the food puns out.
I feel you. I'm just like, this is kind of my first Seagal movie, really. Like, I'm not going in on the fat shaming right away, He's just showing...
He's not fat in this one.
I know.
Unfortunately.
He's just showing you that, like, action heroes can come in all shapes and sizes. Like, human, spherical, like...
Varying degrees of intelligence, too.
Yeah.
So, Cole makes things go from bad to worse, as this just enrages Johnny and makes him start threatening to shoot the students.
Yeah, like the first thing, I'm pretty sure the first thing about hostage negotiation is to establish trust. And it's like, the very first thing is he fucking lies to him.
Oh, God. So, Cole puts his gun down. So now we're back to square -1.
Yeah, why? He could have come in without the gun and been in a way better position, I think.
So, obviously, you guys don't understand how to make a fantastic movie. It's called tension, you idiots. So he's trying to talk Johnny down, and Johnny says that he can't go back to him and puts the gun to his head. Then old Coleslaw leaps from across the room, tackles Johnny through the second-story window, across the alley, and through the opposite second-story window of the adjacent building. Which wasn't a straight shot. I went back and looked. The window behind them was actually higher up.
Oh, so he speared him through and up.
Yes.
That's next level. That's something only Seagal can do.
Yeah. That's all thanks to them beads. Johnny's girlfriend, Millie, calls out to him and says that she loves him just as he passes out and is disarmed by Cole. Cole says, "Oh, I hate this job. You made this hard, jackass."
Yeah. And they've never established that he's like sick of being a detective. If anything, he's really all about it.
I'm 2 weeks away
he loves
from my
doing
pension.
This shit. My super pension. So outside, they take Johnny away, as Campbell lectures Cole. The boy's rich stepfather, Mr. Deverell, comes over and thanks Cole and tells him that if he ever needs anything, just to reach out. Back at the station, there was a man with Deverell when he comes and does this. And that man is now at the station, and he approaches Cole to talk to him about getting Johnny acquitted on temporary insanity. But Cole ain't no liar.
He also ain't no lawyer, so...
Yeah, he wants him to lie on the deposition. This guy threatens Cole's career, and Cole threatens him right back. Tells him to get his ugly white ass out of here. Because Seagal ain't white.
Yeah, what is he? He's Italian, right? Or something?
I'm tired of you Farangs coming in here and telling me what to do.
So we cut to the morgue, where for some reason leave all the female corpses' tits out.
Yeah, this is the grossest way to sneak some nudity into your movie.
I think it was the only way they could accomplish that part in Seagal's contract. He needs at least one breast to grope in every movie he does.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. So the mortician brings Campbell and Cole over to the woman that was killed in the opening of the movie. And he tells Campbell that he's found a rare form of bone cancer riddled throughout her body. So Cole, of course, looks at her and says, she's Russian, Georgian to be specific. Look at her hair and her cheekbones. Clearly Georgian.
Get the fuck out of here.
Fuck you.
If there's one thing I know, it's women from underdeveloped countries. Also, I would also like to point out that Russia and Georgia are not the same thing. It's two totally different ethnicities.
That's what you would think. But when you've been working with Georgians as much as I have, you learn to spot the similarities.
She's Russian, Georgian to be specific. Probably at
now pass me that potato salad. So, and he insisted on getting this little speech in. So he then goes on about the bodies and being broken vessels, and I don't care. He then proceeds to cut her tit open.
Yeah, this whole scene is like crazy. Because
he just grabs a scalpel and just slices her tit open and rips out the implant in it.
Well, because Campbell, what he just says that she has nice tits. I'm like, what? There's a dead lady here, man. Like, this is really weird.
This is someone's daughter, damn it.
And then Seagal's like, too nice.
A little too perfect. And then he cuts him open, and he finds a bunch of pirate doubloons in there. Fucking asshole. God. So he cuts her tit open, takes out the implant, and tells Campbell to run the serial number on it. Why? To what end?
To identify her. Obviously, y'all don't know how police work works.
Yeah.
Everybody knows a homicide detective can just walk into a morgue, defile bodies, as long as he's trying to ID somebody.
Yeah.
As long as he's got a hunch.
Holy shit.
So
yeah, those titties were sold to so it's like, what the fuck?
Let me get my fake tit Rolodex out and we'll figure this one out. So cut to Deverell in his ancient Sumerian villa.
No, this is Rick Deckard's apartment from Blade Runner. I'm serious. I think it's actually the same place.
I wouldn't be surprised because it did look like it.
Yeah.
It's got that window, the design of the window and everything. I'm telling you, it is.
It's either that or this dude has access to a Stargate.
So Deverell's sitting there. His goon from earlier comes in and informs him that Cole's not going to cooperate. So he orders some Russian goons to handle putting him in his place. And then they discuss vague details of what's sure to be the overarching scandal of the movie. Cut to Chinatown, where Cole and Campbell go into a little shop. And Cole's talking to Campbell and reveals that he's got kids and an ex. And he sputters out some Chinese nonsense at the man behind the counter. Campbell points out that the old Chinese woman's watching his favorite movie, and it's a real tearjerker. Not that he's ever cried or anything. Cue the speech about crying cleanses the soul and the from Captain Jackass.
Like I said, this is not the character I was expecting. Like, there's no real clash of cultures between these two detectives. Like, Seagal is the same, stupid asshole that he always is, but he's just wearing Chinese stuff now.
Well, what's funny is this isn't the character that anybody was expecting. He showed up to film and all of a sudden had this new philosophy on life. So they were expecting to get like Seagal, but instead they got this llama, and they just had to fucking go with it. Because
that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
like none of the stuff about him not wanting to fight anybody, and none of that was in the script.
Which makes a lot of sense because he fights the shit out of everybody.
Well, yeah, for like no reason most of the time.
They convinced him in all these crazy ways to do it, which I'll get to. Basically, they fooled the llama.
They had to trick him into acting.
Yes.
My God.
There's a very perfect point about it. When we get to the point in the movie, I'll tell you how they tricked this man into thinking that he was doing what was karmically right for the universe to do a scene.
Oh my God. Let's just keep moving.
He's the worst.
So, after he gives his speech, he then tricks Campbell into eating powdered deer penis, because why not?
Yeah,
we gotta degrade Campbell some more.
Yeah, because penises are funny, and let's make this man eat some on the low. So he's like emasculating his partner, and sort of lightly poking fun at Chinese culture at the same time. So it's going great.
Yeah.
Fish are sentient, but I'll eat the shit out of a deer cock.
Cocks ain't sentient.
They're just good eating.
So later back in the car, Cole explains his Tibetan prayer beads and that they calm his mind and purify his thoughts. And then they get a tip that there's an informant who will only talk to them about the Family Guy man down at the docks. So as they go, Cole notices 3 guys breaking into a car and insists that they intervene. So they approach, and the 3 carjackers tell them to fuck off. And Cole launches into another long-winded speech that's thankfully interrupted by a half dozen Russians that get to drop on him from behind. Cole and Campbell drop their guns, and Campbell says that we're going to have to handle this the hard way. And that's when Cole notifies him that I can't fight. He's like, oh, well, you could have informed me earlier that you couldn't fight. And then one of the goons knocks out Campbell. And the boss tells Cole that he wants a... the boss tells Cole that I want a little bit of your rock and roll ass.
Well, because Cole says he's... Yeah. Campbell is a little bit country and he's a little bit rock and roll for some reason.
For reasons.
He's a little bit hip-hop, and I'm a little bit Mongolian throat music.
So Campbell offers the Russians double what they're being paid and takes out his wallet and removes a credit card that has a hidden switchblade in it. And he slashes about 4 guys' throats in one swipe.
Cutting necks. What was his plan if the gangster hadn't mentioned money at all in the first place? Like,
don't worry about that.
Do you guys take credit or debit? They're like, what?
Can I get some fast cash? So he slashes their throats with his credit card. He then starts motioning his arms up and down like a rock'em sock'em robot as the goons just topple over all around him. He kicks the last one off the dock and impales him on the forks of a bulldozer.
Yeah.
Which, whenever that happened, I actually was like, holy shit. Just got real up in here.
a bit excessive.
Yeah, he went from I can't fight to murdering all of them.
Yeah,
brutally slaughtering these people. So Campbell questions his earlier statement, and he clears that up by saying that, well, I can fight. It's just against my religion. What about straight killing people? Coleslaw? That's okay?
I can fight them as long as I kill them.
Talking about.
So they tried to question the last conscious Russian, but Campbell just winds up knocking him out with his Black Russian technique.
This actually kind of made me laugh. He had him. He's like, let me talk to him. And Seagal's like, you speak Russian? He's like, a little bit, yeah. And he just starts slamming his head against the car, saying like, spit it out. Oh, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, and they make sure that they say that they don't need to read them their rights.
He knows them.
Yeah, and let me get to that.
Yeah, I couldn't wait I knew you had something to say.
Yeah, I was all on board with these two guys until he said, make sure you read him his rights first. And he's like, he already knows them. He's like, hold on. Number one, we're talking about a Russian who may or may not speak very good English. So not only do you need to read those rights, but make sure he understands them and bring in a translator if necessary.
Is he a citizen?
We
don't know if... I don't know. The Supreme Court just kind of said that... Never mind.
Easy now. It's like getting to territories where we talk about bad movies here, folks.
Yeah.
You can't just assume somebody's not a citizen, John.
Okay, back at the station. Campbell is giving the lowdown on Cole to his boss. He even goes as far as to say that he's better than Bruce Lee.
God.
I don't know.
Seagal's like, you think you can get a line in there about me being better than Bruce Lee?
That probably happened.
You know what? Honest, and I know you hate when I sidetrack, but I have so many Seagal stories that I have to pepper in there. And when you bring up Bruce Lee, it actually is a good segue. So I don't care whether you want me to or not. This is happening.
Let's do it.
So there is a judo player. He was a famous judo player like long time ago in the Olympics. His name's Gene LaBelle. Mm-hmm. And he is the guy who taught Bruce Lee how to grapple. When he was coming up with Jeet Kune Do and he needed to learn grappling skills, this is the guy that taught him. And he's an older gentleman. So around the time of this movie, like he's already an old man. And I don't know if it was this movie or another movie, but he meets Seagal. And Seagal knows who he is and tells him, put me in your best hold and I'll get out of it. And Gene is like, he's this grizzled old man. And he's like, nah, man, don't worry about it. You know, we ain't going to do that. He's like, no, put me in your best chokehold and I'll get out of it. So he says, okay. So he slaps him in a rear naked choke and kind of picks him up a bit. And Seagal immediately goes into panic mode because he can't breathe. Now, there's tons of witnesses that see this. And so Seagal, out of desperation, starts trying to hit this dude in the nuts, which he's pretty much taking it. He's like, no, you wanted this, so this is happening. So he's choking him, and he hears him struggling. He's just like, just struggling. And then all of a sudden, you just hear... So Seagal taps and says, good hold, and immediately beelines to his trailer. Gene LaBelle just choked the shit out of Steven Seagal. And tons of people saw it. Like, it's not just some crazy story. Like, there's people that verified that fucking happened.
Fantastic.
So there you
Couldn't have happened to a better man.
Yeah. Got the shit choked out of him by an old man.
God. Okay, so what happened? Where was I?
Yeah. Campbell's complaining to the captain about Cole.
And the captain tells Campbell, you just got to deal with it. You got to work with this guy. Cut to that night in the rain. The same shadowy figure sneaks into another home and shoots another sleeping couple. Back at the station, Cole and Campbell are watching a slideshow. Campbell says that the killer's trying to make these people martyrs, and that he gets his directions from Jesus himself, he claims. And you will learn well, Grasshopper.
Ugh.
Which he says that a couple times, and it
says that a few
infuriated
times.
me every time.
So the call comes in, 2 more bodies. They arrive on the scene and head up the staircase. There's blood smeared all over the walls. Cole enters the bedroom to find the couple nailed to the wall, each wearing a crown of thorns. Cole seems upset and leaves abruptly. Back at the station, Campbell gets a juicy scoop that they found a print at the crime scene, the first one since the killing starts. And it's Cole's. Dun, dun, dun.
Uh-oh.
So Campbell puts internal affairs on the case to find out everything they can about Cole. Off the record. Off the record? Isn't he now officially a suspect or at least a person of interest? Should not all of this be on record?
Once again, I don't know why y'all assuming y'all understand how police work.
Well, I think what happened here was Campbell mentioned to another officer who has like a family member that's in the CIA or some shit. He wanted background information on Cole. He wasn't like he probably should disclose this and get him as a person of interest or whatever, but that's a separate thing.
Fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
So Campbell then briefs the station to look for connections between the victims, and Cole says to send the pictures of the blood doodles to every psych ward and prison in the U.S. And Cole and Campbell exchange uneasy glances. So, and there's little like stick figure doodles on the walls of all these places.
There's about to be a lot of kindergartners brought in as suspects.
Cut to some lady talking on the phone in her kitchen, and Cole just walks up in there. So I'm assuming this is his girlfriend, new wife. Who knows?
She is now.
I choose this house.
I peed on the floor.
So,
this is mine.
He just walks in like he owns the place. They know each other. The woman sees that he's upset, and he explains that there's been another killing. And he reveals that they know the woman that was just killed. It's his ex-wife. Uh-oh. You got some splaining to do, Cole.
Yeah.
I immediately remembered the story that Blake told about being on set for this movie. He's like, you tell that fucking bitch. He just got to live out his fantasy of her being murdered in his movie.
I didn't even think about it like that, but that's hilarious.
He's holding back just cheers of glee as he's delivering these lines.
This whole movie is like Seagal's wet dream of a life that he could have.
And they even say that he was in a custody battle with his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's right after he reveals this, he goes into the backyard where the kids are explaining to tell them that their mother's dead.
Well, kids,
night,
sometimes dreams come true.
I know you guys are quite fond of her, but this is my movie, damn it.
And then he started tap dancing and singing When You Wish Upon a Star like Jiminy Cricket.
So later that night in his Tibetan yurt out in the backyard, apparently, Cole's burning incense and whatnot, and he ponders his situation. He makes a mysterious phone call and asks that Mr. Smith be told that Mr. Jones needs to talk to him right away. Cut to Brian Cox, a.k.a. Mr. Smith. I just want to say, I'm going to point it out later, but this movie is just lousy with character actors. Like they're everywhere. Every character is a character is that guy. Oh, it's that guy. It's that guy.
Yeah.
It's that guy.
Yeah.
And it completely took me out of the movie because I was just every other scene was, oh, look at that. What have I seen him in? Oh wait, I'm supposed to be paying attention to this shit.
But Brian Cox was the only one trying.
Yeah.
Everyone is garbage in this movie except for Brian Cox.
Has Brian Cox ever been garbage in anything he's been in? I don't think so.
No, Ned the Head did a pretty good job too.
So Brian Cox is AKA, he's Mr. Smith, and he's informed that Cole, Mr. Jones, wants to talk to him. He says to ignore him because we have bigger fish to fry. And we cut away again because this movie only operates in 4-minute scenes. Back at the station, Campbell gets the dirt on Cole. He's in NYPD, homicide, special task force. He did the DeMarco killings, the famous DeMarco killings.
Yeah.
Lots of medals. Then we find out that he shot DeMarco on a rooftop and was busted for acting without a sanction. No shit.
Yeah, I kind of like to do that, don't I?
Yeah, that's his whole thing.
But before NYPD, he's an absolute ghost. They also find out that he was married to their latest victim. Cut to the funeral. And I know how you love hard cuts to the funeral, John.
If only he'd been there holding like a birthday cake to himself or something.
Yeah.
Like a handful of balloons.
He's just got a party hat on, a black party hat. So, at the funeral, Cole says his goodbyes, and he's confronted by Campbell. He's pissed that Cole didn't confide in him about his ex-wife, but he also lets him know that he was right about the other victim being Russian. He also hits Cole with his file, and he asks who he really is. I can't get into that right now. I used to be a dancer. They called me the Glimmerman. So Campbell tells him that he needs to be worried because the only evidence that they have is pointing straight at him. Do I look hungry? I mean, worried? So, cut to Cole entering a restaurant, of course.
Yes.
And the maitre d' at the counter tells him that they're closed for a private lunch. And Cole just slaps him across the face. The Buddhist thing to do.
Right, sure.
Somebody's hangry. So he goes in and he
When you've been on a
eyeballs all the
hunger strike for however long, fasting.
Oh, shit.
He goes in, he eyeballs all the patrons. After breaking another man's wrist, he finally gets into a little private room in the back where Brian Cox is having lunch with the senator. And the
one.
Limp wrist. What?
You know the one, the senator.
Yeah, the senator.
Yeah.
The limp wrist agent comes back in and tries to move the immovable object, and he's tossed through a glass partition for his trouble. Somebody get this man an egg roll or something.
Stop this rampage.
So Cole sits down at the table as the senator that Brian Cox is having lunch with flees for his life before he's devoured by this man.
And he does immediately start eating, too.
Yeah, he immediately just grabs the senator's food and slides it over in front of him. So Cole tells Brian Cox that he needs to get in touch with some of his consultants about the serial killings, and he accuses Cox of knowing who the killer is and that they're clearly a pro. And then Cole straight up threatens a CIA agent with his scary voice. Cox tells him that he's a bit busy right now, and right there, as Cole doesn't listen to anything he says, just starts stuffing food in his face. And then after that, the filthy slob uses the napkin from the bread basket to wipe his maw with.
He dumps out all the bread just to get that napkin. As if the table probably isn't littered with napkins.
They only did that because the take before he picked up the napkin full of the bread and shoveled all the bread into his mouth. They're like, dude, you can't do that. I need
such a weird choice to make.
So he gets up to leave, and once again, that agent hassles him again, and he criticizes Chinese potions. Oh no, now he'll never shut up.
Yeah.
You couldn't have just called him fat, and he could have bopped you into the ground like a railroad spike so we can get on with this goddamn Popeye cartoon of a movie.
People work really hard on those potions. You should be easier on them.
Yeah. So, so after this, he goes in this whole routine, and he has to fight the entire CIA apparently. And while he's fighting them, sweet Jesus, Samson didn't cause this much destruction in the establishment he was in.
No.
He wrecks this restaurant.
Even Samson looked up and was like, easy, big fella. And the narrator said, then old Steven just went nuts in that place. And then he ate Bandit.
Kind of gamey.
But old Jones got him down, and he became Seagal Jones.
Slapped a saddle on him.
Oh, shit. That's good.
Yeah, this whole restaurant's like made of cardboard, too. Everything just like falls apart.
So after he beats up the entire CIA, levels the restaurant, he's walking out, the phone rings, he answers it, and he tells the hopeful diner that they're closed for renovations. Better give it about 2 months. And then he just leaves. What an asshole.
He did 2 months worth of damage to that place.
Oh, God. So back at the station, Campbell gets a call from Melanie Sarders, and she says that she knows who he's looking for. Cut to her place. She's an art teacher at the local prison. And Campbell, okay, I forgot to mention, when we were in the Chinese shop earlier, Campbell starts sneezing because there's incense burning.
Yeah.
And when he goes into this artist's house, there's more incense, and he starts sneezing at that. And I'm like, oh, great. Is this going to become a thing? Is this going to be like play a part in this travesty of a movie? Nah.
No.
We just need to establish he's allergic to incense. It's a character choice.
Well, also that he is apparently addicted to deer penis now.
That's
like,
also true.
It's like, don't worry about it, lady. I'll just down some deer penis. I'll be just fine.
Yeah. He tells her, don't worry, I'll just suck on some deer penis. That's what he says.
It is what he said, which is pretty funny, actually.
So she shows him some finger paintings by some sociopath, and she says that it was her favorite student, Christopher Maynard. Scramble at the station. Everybody on high alert, looking up this Maynard character. Cole's a little put out that Campbell left them all in the dark about this, and he gets on the phone and tells the research team to look for a Catholic church in the radius of one of the killings. Cut to the church in session, and one of the parishioners there is clearly important because it's, again, that guy.
It's Ned the Head.
Yeah. So
You don't know who that is?
He's from what?
From Groundhog Day. Ned Ryerson, Ned the Head.
Yes. I couldn't peg him in that.
Okay.
But I've seen him in 1,000 other things. He's in Silicon Valley right now, too. So it hangs on him, and the sinister music plays, so we're led to believe this is Maynard. The service concludes, and as Cole pulls up in an even stupider shirt as before.
My crime-solving shirt.
It's a little too flashy because it startles Maynard, and he flees back into the church.
It distracts people from my gut.
So, inside, Maynard takes the priest hostage at gunpoint. Cole comes in, and Maynard has the priest sitting on the, I don't know, the Catholic Iron Throne that they all have.
I was about to say, yeah, the throne that's in every church, you know?
Yeah. So he tells Cole that he had a feeling he was going to die today, but he doesn't really want to hurt anyone, especially in a church. So Cole then just tells the priest to get up and leave, and he does. Okay. So Maynard then reveals that he knows Cole's the new cop that was brought in to search for him. Cole tells him that he killed his ex-wife, and Maynard reveals that he was spared having to kill them, as someone else was called on high to do those killings. Maynard then puts the gun to his head and starts giving him self-confession.
Doesn't work like that, bro.
Yeah. Then he decides he's not going to kill himself, and he tells Cole to do it, or he's going to kill him. So Cole pleads with him not to make him do this, not in God's house, and he immediately blows Maynard away.
It's not even his God. What does he care?
And then he looks up at the altar like, sorry.
Now, Here, I have to interject with this. This scene was done the first day of shooting. And just because the actor's name is Steven Tobolowsky, but we're just going to call him Ned the Head.
Okay.
So Ned the Head's working first day. This is the scene they're doing. First day. And he's in his trailer. He's getting ready. And the director comes in, asks him how he's doing. He says he's doing fine. And he says, we have a problem. Well, what is it? Steven Seagal has gone through a spiritual awakening, and he's decided that he doesn't want to kill people in movies anymore. So Ned the Head's like, but he's supposed to kill me. And he's like, yeah. So what we want you to do is when you get on set, just try to avoid him. Don't talk to him, because he's going to try to convince you not to get killed in this scene. But we got to get this done. So he's like, well, okay. So he knew he had to avoid him, but he was trying to think of something just in case. So he gets to set, he meets Seagal, and he can't get away from him. And he's like, what do you think about this scene? It's like, well, it's a very impactful scene. You're going to be killing a serial killer. He goes, well, I thought maybe we could do it without me killing you. And he's like, well, Steven, it's kind of important to the plot, And he's like, yeah, but I don't think we should bring more violence into the world by putting violence in these movies. And he went on and on about how his movies are basically causing more violence in the world and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So Ned the Head tells him, well, you're actually doing me a favor in my karmic existence or whatever he says, because this character is tired of the shell that he's in, obviously. And if you kill him, he'll reincarnate into a new body to where maybe he could do better things for the world. So you'll be getting rid of evil on one hand, and you'll be helping a man's soul by letting him be released from this flawed body and be reincarnated into another. Yeah, I like that.
I'm glad I thought of it.
So that's what they did. Now, a couple months later, director calls Ned the Head back and says, we need you to come back and do some ADR for us. He's like, okay, cool, no problem. So he shows up. It's the director and Keenan Ivory Wayans in a room. And he's like, look, for the whole rest of the movie, Seagal kept ad-libbing, talking about how he was glad he didn't kill that guy in the church. So we have to make it, you have to record something to where it seems like he didn't kill you. Now, y'all saw the scene. The squib explodes his chest. Yeah. And he falls to the ground. So he said, well, I don't really know how to do it. So they worked on it a couple of times, and it ended with him. As soon as his body falls out of frame, he started yelling, well, go ahead and finish me then. And when they were done, Keenan Ivory Wayans sees it, and all he said was, we have now entered the realm of high comedy, and got up and left. But eventually, none of that got used, obviously, but that's what was going on behind the scenes right there.
What a disaster.
Wow. Jesus Christ. So day one, they were putting up with this bullshit.
Yeah, and then the fact that he was ad-libbing for the rest of the movie, saying he was glad that he didn't kill the guy.
just ruining everything. All the time.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Oh, my God. Okay. Shit.
That's insane.
So, later that night, the cops are swarming the church. Campbell says that they searched Maynard's house and they found all the evidence that they need to pin this all on him. The captain's fuming, as most police movie captains are, and orders both Cole and Campbell to internal affairs first thing in the morning.
But his priorities are all screwed up, though. He's like, he doesn't seem to care about all the super techniques available. He doesn't have an all-consuming concern about his pension.
Give me that goddamn phone.
All this guy seems to care about is that suspects aren't killed in cold blood by the police. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
He sends them to regular internal affairs and not super internal affairs.
Send him to eternal affairs.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. Okay. So, the next day, the pair are being questioned on a polygraph. Cole answers yes to the ridiculous base question, of if he's ever climbed Mount Everest, because fuck this shit.
Oh, well, he's supposed to answer. She told him to answer yes. Yeah. They needed to see what he's like when he's lying.
Yeah, but they knew, but Seagal knew that.
Seagal believed so much that he had climbed Everest.
Yeah. So, Steven, there's no record of you ever going to anywhere near Mount Everest. In a former
I've done
life,
it.
I climbed it 3 times.
And then I ate it.
Now you got the spirit, John.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're on board. So, she then asked him some more questions about being a cop, killing his wife, killing outside of duty. He gets fed up and leaves. She reveals to the captain and Cole that Cole is an honest-to-God George Washington, and he didn't lie about a single thing that he said. Later, in the turlet, the captain levels with Cole and tells him that he needs to cooperate for everyone's sake and suspends him. Finally, they follow some goddamn procedure.
Yeah.
And they name him a suspect and take his badge. And he throws it in the turlet.
This bathroom is a fucking disgrace, man. Don't they have a janitor or something? It's disgusting.
So, he's very aggressive for a pacifist. The way he just tosses this thing in the commode.
Exactly.
Almost like there's something bubbling under the surface.
Well, everybody knows when Buddha was sitting under the tree, he routinely threw people's wallets in piss.
He just thought that shit was funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So cut back to the station, and the captain informs Campbell that Maynard was accounted for with his church group for the last 2 weeks, and there's no way he murdered Cole's ex or the Russian girl. Cole moves up the suspect list. The captain's convinced it was him, but Campbell wants to at least hear him out. Cut to the carnage house where that goddamn dog starts barking again.
I want to comment really quick on the subtitles for this.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I know it's got really nothing to do with the movie, but the subtitles for the dog barking are woof woof.
I didn't notice that.
But then seconds later, there are subtitles for birds chirping that just say birds chirping.
Yeah.
So like, where's the...
Oh, it didn't say cheep, cheep, cheep,
exactly. Cheep. Where's the consistency?
What's funny is I went back and watched it. It literally it put woof for every time the dog barked too.
It's really, really funny.
Christ. So back at the station. No, we're at the carnage house. Cole sneaks his way into this bird-infested home. The ghost of John Woo sends him an ominous warning of a pigeon flying in front of his face to let him know that something bad's about to happen. A gloved hand picks up a random branch in the background and attacks. Many birds are squashed as the assailant is tossed all over the place. He eventually flees. Cole then discovers a plane ticket of one Sonia Roslov. So, cut to Deverell, reading in the dark. The branch-wielding assailant was Deverell's security man, his little right-hand man there. He says that there was nothing that was at the house that could tie Deverell to the Russian woman, and Cole was just there fishing for something. So, cut to a theater where Campbell is sobbing over Casablanca. Cole surprises him and tells them they need to talk. And he lays out his theory that the last 2 killings are being made to look like the serial killer Maynard.
He also gives them a ton of shit about crying, though.
Yeah.
After he was just talking about how crying is like good for him in the other scene.
We got to beat down Keaton Ivory Wayans.
Beat him into the ground.
So he suspects the connection between Roslov and Deverell is that she was smuggling chemical weapons out in her tits, which explain why she was riddled with cancer.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Is that what was happening? I don't know. Maybe? Yes? So Campbell believes him, and they decide to work together, but only after they go back and finish Casablanca. And I'm not even going to dignify this little routine that Seagal does here, because I hate him.
No.
Yeah,
Watch it yourself, people.
Yeah. Back with Deverell. He's worried that Cole's getting a little too close. He's hanging out poolside with Brian Cox, and Brian Cox reveals that he recruited Cole in Vietnam for a special projects unit called The Program.
Well, it was right here where my mind got blown, and I realized that the Glimmerman is part of the X-Men. Because Brian Cox found Wolverine in Vietnam too, and they started, the program, and you had Sabretooth and all of them in there, and just other mutant that could move really quick, named the Glimmerman.
Yeah.
Boom.
Y'all don't agree with me or what?
I guess
it's the same story.
So, well,
I'm sorry. That's what fucking
I can't
happened.
even respond.
I know. I
this.
don't even know what to say. It's like because Brian Cox was also an X2
and found superheroes in Vietnam.
Well, if Glimmerman's an X-Man, he's definitely on the gold team. There's a little nerd humor for you, folks.
Yeah. I think that's the second time this season we've mentioned different teams of X-Men.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's bound to happen. So, he recruited him for the program. He handled odd jobs for him and was known as the Glimmerman. There'd be nothing in the jungle, and then a glimmer, and then you'd be dead. And then I died.
It sounds like a superhero, doesn't it?
But how are people giving him this nickname if they're all dead?
Oh, good point.
He's the asshole that gives himself a nickname.
All my victims called me the Glimmerman.
Because I just glimmered.
They only saw a glimmer.
Oh, God.
Really? Just the glimmer? You sure you didn't trudge through the jungle like a goddamn water buffalo at him?
They all said, please don't kill me, Glimmerman.
Oh.
What was it? Take it to the Glimmerman.
All I can think of is, and I know this is letting my nerd flag fly too, is Seagal sneaking through the jungle as quietly as he can. And one of the wood elves puts an arrow to his face and said, we could hear him breathing from a mile away.
Oh my God. Okay, so the Glimmerman was booted out of the program in '84 for making up his own assignments and going rogue. But he wound up in Thailand, and he was saved by a holy man who gave him his spiritual awakening.
Oh, fuck.
Shoehorn that in.
Yeah.
Cox tells Deverell that he's got 4 loose ends in this. Cole, Campbell, Johnny, and Deverell. And 3 of them have got to go. So Deverell tells Cox to take care of Johnny, and Deverell will handle the 2 cops.
I don't understand this 3 of them have to go thing. Why? Is he suggesting, like, if I kill you, then I can leave one of the cops alive? Yeah. I don't understand.
I don't know.
It's a CIA rule of always leaving one loose end open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is also the point where I realized that, like, literally every scene in this movie, they've figured out a way to make it part of the plot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it has a real problem with, like, every single thing actually being part of the plot.
Yeah.
Even the school shooting thing at the beginning is now somehow part of the plot.
It's convoluted as hell. Then Brian Cox tells Deverell to come on in because the water's just fine. And I'm thinking, is Deverell's mansion just an old man bang spot?
Yeah.
Like, this is weird, right? This is weird.
Yeah, it was getting a little flirty.
Those hieroglyphs on the wall all said lemon party.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead and Google that, folks.
So, cut to Campbell's place. a shadowy figure breaks in through the window by opening it, and Campbell's running phone numbers when he's attacked. And the TV gets busted and explodes, igniting the apartment in flames.
Yeah.
All Campbell's Casablanca swag is getting incinerated as the two fight. The shadowy man gives Campbell the slip as the fire spreads to an exposed gas line that happened at some point, apparently.
They ripped the stove
and an explosion
off the wall.
erupts. Yeah.
Pay attention during fight scenes.
He moved into that apartment, and there was an exposed gas line. He said, I'll just put a Casablanca poster over that.
The assailant tried to, like, throw his stove at him or something.
So, cue obligatory slow-mo run and leap out a window stunt. That was actually kind of impressive. I'll give it that.
It was a good
good.
stunt, but everything leading up to it was absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can't just have a fist fight that ends in a slow-mo explosion.
Plus, doesn't the gas have to build up for a while for it to explode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what I would think is, if flame would have come near that open line, it probably just would, that hose probably just would have been shooting flame, just burning off the fumes. Never would have blown up.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then if the gas line actually did get ignited, wouldn't, like, the whole building catch on fire?
Not necessarily.
Not if your movie's an idiot.
Yeah.
So, Campbell busts through the roof of a car, and a board comes down and bashes him on the head, which I'm sure wasn't planned.
Yeah, that was all right.
But it worked.
Yeah. Cut to Cole's house, where two men get out of a car and are approaching. Cole, watching from the window, tells his wife to get the kids upstairs. And they introduce themselves as internal affairs, and they arrest Cole. And he goes willingly as the kids look from the upstairs window. As they drive away, Cole notices the Russian mafia tattoo on one of the men's arms. And Cole starts speaking to them in Russian. And then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
The passenger side goon turns and opens fire on Cole, but Cole grabs his arm and he empties the clip out the back window. Cole then takes the gun from him and bashes him in the head with it about 40,000 times.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
It was really funny, too, because he was, like, varying his swings and stuff. He was, like, side to side. He was,
it was
getting
all kind of different
hammer
angles.
motion. Just
His head looks like a golf ball afterwards.
beat the absolute shit out of his head.
The car weaves wildly, crashing into the fluorescent light depository.
That was funny, too.
A whole building full of barrels of fluorescent bulbs.
The car then ramps off of another car and flips onto its roof, skidding down the street. Cole manages to shimmy out the back window just before the car slides into a gas truck that happens to be parked perpendicular to the street.
I wonder how much they had to grease up that back window for him to get out of there.
All they had to do was say grease. Somebody said grease. He was gone. So, back at Campbell's, he's sifting through the burnt remains of his home as Cole shows up. He says the attempts on their lives only mean that they're getting close to the truth. And Cole discovers an entire case of deer penis that Campbell's very embarrassed about. Campbell finds his phone call notes and they head out. They arrive at the source of the phone number that Campbell found and knock on the door. And we're greeted by the football coach from Arachnophobia. Again, taking me out of the movie at every turn. And then they ask him some questions, and he reveals that the phone number is billed to him, but it's actually his daughter's. And that's a wrap for this guy.
Yep.
They had a big party on set and everything.
Yeah. Cut to the daughter's place, and what do you know? It's Johnny's girlfriend, Millie. It all weaves together. They find out that Johnny was the one calling the therapist after he was busted for coke, and he was ordered to talk to a psychiatrist. Johnny was afraid to call from home because he was afraid of his stepfather, Deverell. And Johnny knew... Johnny had figured out what Deverell was into, and was afraid that something was going to happen. So the two head to the psych ward where Johnny's being kept, worried that Devereaux's going to have him killed. At the psych ward, again, sinister man with a gun sneaks in. He approaches a shrouded bed and pulls it open to find Cole ready and waiting to murder another guy, Buddhist style. So, shoots him dead. That could have been a nun. You don't know.
He doesn't know.
So, Cole and Campbell then whisk Johnny away and start questioning him. Johnny reveals that he found out that Devereaux had his Russian translator killed, and Devereaux was worried Johnny spilled the beans to his psychiatrist, which was Cole's ex-wife's new husband. Are we all caught up, folks? Good,
Jesus
great, grand.
Christ.
He also reveals that Devereaux is working with Brian Cox, and Cole leaves Johnny with the nuns to protect him, and they head out.
Ow, he leaves him with the nuns? You can't
There
take
couldn't
it.
possibly be a second attacker.
yeah, that was it. They only ever send one. If you win, you're free.
No. Everybody knows nuns how to use nunchucks. He'll be fine.
Oh,
Oh!
where's your rib
moving
shot on that one?
Cut to Brian Cox leaving his office, gets into a limbo. Campbell and Cole get to jump on him and take Cox down under a bridge. Cole asks Cox where Devereaux is Devereaux's smuggling, and when Cox plays dumb, he shoots him in the foot. Cox continues to deny knowing anything and gets shot through the hand for his trouble. And Cole goes to make it a matching set when Cox finally relents, and he tells him that it's chemical weapons being smuggled in. He set up the contacts, and the Russian mob's brokering it, and they're going to be sold tomorrow to Serbian terrorists. And they leave Cox to hop his way to help.
Blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're like at the very end of the movie, and we're only now just finding out what the villains' like motivations are,
Scheme
what their plot is.
yeah.
It's also the point, like you said, this is where like you really stopped giving a shit too.
Yeah.
Oh, I super don't care.
So Cole calls Devereaux, and he plays the recording of Cox spilling his guts about the whole plan. And he tells Devereaux that he only wants Donald, who's the security trigger man. And Devereaux is happy to deliver up Donald to Cole with a murder weapon in exchange for the tape. Everyone's happy. Devereaux sets up the exchange. Cole then tells Campbell the history of chess, and I despise this man.
He's insufferable.
Campbell then calls Donald and plays him a recording of Devereaux giving him up, pitting the two against each other.
It's like Yojimbo, but better.
Cool. I just threw up a little in my mouth. The next day at the exchange, Devereaux and Donald arrive. The clerk of the hotel watches as they enter, and he makes a phone call to a payphone that Cole and Campbell are posted up at, signaling that they've arrived. So Devereaux and his men enter a room to await the exchange. Donald locks the door, and they all turn on Devereaux. They all draw guns, and Donald shoots Devereaux in the chest area. Don't know if he's dead or not. We'll find out later. Not that we care. Outside the room, Campbell and Cole prepare to strike. Campbell wants to wait it out, but Cole has burgers to get to and just kicks down the door and bursts into the room, guns drawn. All hell breaks loose. Bullets fly everywhere. In the chaos, Donald shoots the wounded Devereaux in the head and then uses another one of his pals' body as a shield, and he flees the room.
This shootout was actually pretty all right. Like there's like an energy that I thought was kind of working.
I would agree with you if they would delete the parts where they showed Seagal reloading that gun.
I totally agree with you. My exact note is that shootout was pretty okay, actually, except for Seagal's weird reloading sequence.
I'm going to stick my arm out totally out of cover to drop a clip out and put another one in.
Serving no purpose.
No.
That's how you do it.
Everybody likes artistic flair in a gunfight.
Hey, watch this. Hey, Hey, Campbell, does this look cool? Does it look cool when I do this?
When I invented semi-automatic weapons, I intended them to be reloaded like this.
You can conserve energy by resting the gun on your belly.
I also think that this movie might have been the genesis of him trying to hide his gut by putting his hands over his stomach.
Oh, yeah.
Because he did that a lot.
He sure did.
So, where was I? Cole and Campbell pursue Donald. Campbell gets cornered by two kids with toy guns. He runs them off, and as he's searching around, he gets a feeling about this apartment H12, and he goes in on a hunch. The window's open, and as he's looking out the window, from behind him we hear, "Hi!" And then Donald shoots him out the window. Cole, now on the roof for some reason, hears Campbell calling for help as he dangles from the ledge. Cole fashions a rappel rig out of some garbage he finds on the roof.
Yeah, I was like, where did this rappelling gear come from?
Well, he threw down one rope, and then when he brings his lard ass over the side to start rappelling, there's like 3 ropes.
Yeah.
And like you said, all the gear on it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Was Campbell going out the window the final like person going through a window of the film? Because there was like 17 people go through windows.
There's one more going through an indoor window.
Yeah.
Okay.
With rubber bars on it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So he rappels down, grabs Campbell. They rappel further down through the next window, interrupting some old woman's newspaper reading. Cole then tells Campbell to head to the lobby, and he rappels down to the street. Donald's trying to leave out the front door, and he finds it chained shut. Cole's sitting behind the desk. He hops out as Donald draws his gun on him. He makes a crack about his ex-wife and is thusly disarmed. And the slap fight ensues as they run up the stairs again, slap boxing as they go. Cole eventually gets the upper hand, of course he does, and really lays into Donald. At this point, I said, it's clear Seagal refused to have any makeup done on him to show that he's taking any damage whatsoever.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
And then it was right at that point he actually gets popped in the nose and some blood comes out. It's like, well, shit.
Yeah, and then the next scene, it's totally gone.
So
he's like beating the fucking shit out of this guy, and his like entire face is covered in blood at one point. Donald, and then like the continuity goes to total crap because like you can't go from entire face to like a couple of wounds.
Right.
Well, I mean, who knows how much of this was reshoots months later to try to fix the debacle that Seagal caused.
When you're using chi attacks, you can vary the damage given, and time is of no matter.
God. So Cole then...
Did I say chi attacks? I mean cheese attacks.
So Cole then toys with him the only way someone so arrogant as him can. He finally gets punched in the face and blood starts coming out. They proceed to strangle each other until Cole gets bored and throws Donald through some wrought iron fence / window thing. And Cole looks out the busted window and says something dumb as we see Donald impaled on one of the thousands of iron fences inside of this building. Later outside, the captain arrives as Campbell's getting all patched up. He tells Cole he owes him an apology. He's not going to get it, but I owe it to you. And then
I'm like, the captain just arrived on the scene of this enormous headache he's going to have to deal with. I don't know where he had no information. He just shows up and he's like, hey, I owe you an apology. Like, what? There's like 50 dead people in this building over here. What are you talking about?
Well, that's why he's not going to get the apology. He only owes it to him.
I guess so.
So Cole asks the captain to inform his wife that he's alive and well. Campbell tells Cole to get the hell out of his life because he's been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and misfortune, which is completely true for this poor man.
And also for the actor.
Yeah. The ambulance then pulls away as Cole watches on, and we fade to credits as the theme song Bulletproof plays, written by the one and only Steven Seagal.
Boy, isn't he talented?
In fact, 2 of the only 3 songs in the movie were written by Seagal.
Yep.
Whoa.
This song was garbage. Like the lyrics, I'm like
about to
reading.
Say, if you read the lyrics, it made 0 sense.
No sense whatsoever. I don't understand how you write those down.
It switched from the person singing the song as was as if it was a man, and then it switched to where it was as if it was a woman. It was weird. Go back and read the lyrics if you can.
I'm never going back to this movie in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. By the way, we had to pay for this, which I'm kind of pissed about.
We had to pay for this thing because somebody didn't check the YouTube video well enough.
About $4 and an hour and a half.
Well, those are the rules.
We generally try to pick movies that are on some streaming service, if possible, so that most people have these and you guys can watch them. If all else fails, there's stuff on YouTube, but it all fell through on this one.
Oh, asshole Blake strikes again.
$12 went to this man.
That'll get me 2 big Bufors at rallies.
Christ. Okay, well, it's done. It's done. John, since you picked this movie, you got some bonus questions for us?
Yeah, I almost forgot that I had to do this, but yeah, I got a couple bonus questions.
All right, well lay them on us.
I'm glad y'all said that because I wasn't even thinking. I'd came up with questions too. So
yeah, this was John's turn this week.
That's cool.
So
well, it's not cool, but
oh no, it's cool.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
What is Cole and Campbell's car number?
Oh.
That's a good question.
And
I know a car number. I don't know if it's theirs.
And what street is the station on? The police station.
Oh shit.
Damn. Big goose egg for me, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I guess I picked tough ones. No, any guesses on the car number?
I said 37.
The car
37.
I've got this, and Damon Wayans. Keenan Ivory Wayans said it at one point.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? 4K63?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was it.
Yeah, good job. Damn. Yeah, he says it.
That's the one.
He says it 2 times, I think.
That's the one number I remember because it was the homicide suicide thing. I remember when he said it.
And the police station, what street?
I put Palm.
I put Pine.
It was Santee.
Okay.
not
Nowhere close.
There was like one particular shot where the address was right behind Keenan Ivory Wayans and hung on it for quite a while. So I don't know. Yeah. Well, geez, good work, Chase. Got a point.
I got another point. I got 2 points. Oh, Van Damocles. Here I come.
Here it comes.
Okay, so it's time for me to do a coming attractions, you sons of bitches.
Uh-huh.
I got 2 that we're gonna watch both of them. Now that Ex-Seagal-ibur has been used, I don't gotta worry anymore. So we're gonna watch both of these. It's just, which one do I want to drop on us now? I got one that I think we're going to have fun with, and I got one that's going to be a fucking bastard. So...
I mean, I know which one I choose, but...
I agree, John. Let's watch the one that's going to be a bastard.
I want the fun one. This one was a bastard.
You know what? I wanted to do the bastard one, but I think we need to come up from this.
No, dude, this was the best one we've seen this season.
I don't know. I still think I'd watch Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
over this.
I still really I enjoyed Beverly Hills a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go with the fun one. I'm gonna spare you guys until either my next one or the last. I might do it the last one. The bastard might be the last one. Okay, so the movie we're watching next is a little movie from 1981 called Blood Beat.
I just found this one. I was going to pick it
John
too.
perked up. Okay, so I figured John would like this one. John, since you know it, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Blake, give me a shot in the dark at what you think Blood Beat is about.
Blood Beat?
B-E-A-T.
Sasquatch?
Nope.
I don't know, something with music, I would assume. A killer DJ.
Nope. Would you believe a spectral suit of samurai armor terrorizing a Wisconsin town?
What the fuck?
Yep. It's Blood Beat, 1981, 4.6 stars on IMDb, 2.5 on Amazon, no Rotten Tomato score. Tagline, a force of evil. Directed by Fabrice A. Zaffaratos. Starring Helen Benton, Terry Brown, and Dana Day. Those people.
Oh, yeah, Dana Day.
Synopsis. I got two. The first one, a woman who lives in a deer hunting country in rural Wisconsin is possessed by the spirit of a Japanese samurai warrior. Well, that's a little too on the nose. So here's another one. A family's Christmas reunion gets off to a bad start when the son brings home his girlfriend, leading to an awkward feeling of deja vu between her and the boy's psychic mother. Weird things begin happening, the weirdest of which happens to be the presence of a glowing samurai warrior whose murderous tendencies appear to be linked to the girlfriend's orgasms.
Whoa!
I can't wait to watch this fucking movie.
85 minutes long. Couldn't find anything about the budget. Okay. Trivia. I got a good one. The director was unaware this movie was being shot in 4:3 until 15 days into production. 15 days into production, this movie only took 2 months to finish. So a quarter of the way into the movie, he said, "Oh shit, we're shooting this thing full screen."
Wow.
Reviews. Utterly incomprehensible. Defies description. And what the hell was all that about?
That's what I like to hear.
It looks truly terrible. All I had to see was samurai armor terrorizes rural Wisconsin town. And I was sold.
Yeah, for sure.
Sold.
I think I was like looking through Amazon again the other day, and I saw that one. And I jotted that bad boy down.
So that's what we're going to be doing. You're welcome, folks. It's going to be damn sight better than this.
I don't know. Like I said, this is still my top one for this season.
The fact that the samurai armor glows means it's going to actually glimmer, unlike anything in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, it has potential for the Desert Heat Award, from what I'm hearing.
Well, we shall see. Well, I guess we can wrap up. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. If you'd like to drop us a review on iTunes, we would very much appreciate that. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/garbagetheater. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at garbage_theater. If you'd like to suggest a movie to us, send it our way at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a like, send us to your friends, let people know. We're here for you to do this to you, apparently. So, anybody have any, Blake, you got a last Steven Seagal story for us to close us out?
No, I gave them all up. No, wait, I do. Wait, I do have one. No, I do. I forgot. It's a real short one, too, so it's perfect. Right. One day, just some random day on the set of this movie, Seagal walks into a room and Keenan Ivory Wayans is in there, and Seagal says, "I just read the best script I've ever read in my life." And Wayans says, "Really? Who wrote it?" "Me."
What an asshole.
I know.
Oh my God. What does it take for someone to say that? Like,
apparently 2 racks of ribs and some sauce, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God. So he wasn't aware of what he was writing until he read it again.
I guess.
He went into a fugue state, and when he came out of it, read what he wrote.
He couldn't have just said, "I just wrote the best script ever written."
Nope.
He couldn't even have been that bluntly arrogant. He had to do it like this fucking, "I got you. I wrote the best script ever." Shithead.
That's why he's one of our patron saints.
Oh, God. Okay, well, let's all go to bed angry now.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time, folks, after we watch Blood Beat.